Hi guys, this is Lachelle from Scarlet Moon Creation and Happy New Year. This is also the beginning of a new decade. We're in 2020 now, folks, and this is the beginning of a new series of videos that will come out over the course of January. These videos are focusing on books. My last set of videos was about planning and goal setting, and now we're going to review the books that I read in 2019 and possibly talk about some 2020. Possibly talk about some 2020 books. I've already posted my 2020 anticipated releases video, so go check that out in the description down below. And I've got, I think, 6 others coming up. We're going to talk about my favorite videos and what made them my favorite videos, my favorite books and what made them my favorites, my least favorites, most disappointing and most surprising books, and then I'll go over my 2019 reading stats. And possibly there may be a 2020 reading goals video coming as well. We'll see how it goes. I have to think about that some more. But for now, we're going to just go into the next video, which is my least favorite books of 2019. I think it's probably best if we start out with the negatives and work our way up to the positives. I just did not like these books very well, and I just want to get that off of my chest. So I rated these the lowest. There's only 4 books, and thank goodness for that. So let's start off with talking about the books I did not finish. In 2019, I DNF'd, well, technically, I DNF'd 4 books, but I reread and finished one of those 4. So only 3 that I did not finish. 2 I didn't count in my overall total books read in 2019 because I didn't read very much of them. The first of those is A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. This is the first book in the Song of Ice and Fire series. Fire and Ice? Ice and Fire? Can you tell I'm not a fan? I have previously read A Game of Thrones, the first book in the series, and finished it and was not really impressed. So I didn't continue the series. I've also only watched 2 or 3 episodes of the TV show, and TV is not a priority for me, and Game of Thrones is not a priority amongst the TV that I actually do like to watch. So, yeah, and then now that I know, that I've heard, that I saw so much people disappointed with season 8, the last season of the show, I'm probably never going to watch that. So, that being said, this go round, I wanted to reread the first book because Becca in the Books started a new kind of book club read along thing called the I don't remember what the book club is called. I put it down on the screen. I had it in my head before, but now it's gone. Anyway, so she started this, and the book series that they decided to read for 2019 was A Song of Ice and Fire, and obviously starting in January, starting with A Game of Thrones. And even though we had 2 months to read this book, I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. I don't, nah. Like, I remember my first read too. Maybe if I just went to the second book, I didn't feel like I had read enough to remember clearly, but I remember the characters. I remember the major plot points. I remember relationships and such. So I think it's because I didn't remember the end that I was like, yeah. But I barely got into the first couple of chapters, and I was trying with the audiobook, and I just did not care. So I DNF'd it, and it is what it is. The next book I'll talk about was actually the first book that I read in 2019, but I did not finish that either, even though I read the majority of it, and that was The Archived by Victoria Schwab. I had been reading Victoria Schwab, V.E. Schwab books in December and January as part of Schwabathon with several other booktubers and some people on Twitter. And this, I, at this point, I just know I'm not a huge Victoria Schwab fan. I like her stuff, but it's kind of general. I'm not in love with anything, really. Other than the Shades of Magic trilogy, it's nothing else really does much for me. That being said, the archive should have been something I loved. The premise is this young girl moves into a new town with her family into a renovated hotel where other people live in apartments that were former hotel rooms. And she's trying to make the best of it. Meanwhile, she's got this secret duty as someone who collects the spirits of those who have passed and brings them to the archives, which is like this metaphysical library of spirits. It sounds down my alley. All of it sounded great. None of it, I just didn't care. I was trying to push myself to keep reading this book, which is YA fiction, and that's not why I couldn't finish it. I just didn't care and was mad about it. There was nothing thrilling, there was no suspense. There the whole idea of it was good. I'm not saying this is a badly written book either. I just did not care. Every time I tried to think about, oh, how do I feel about the book as I was reading along, there was nothing motivating me to finish it, and I finally told myself I don't have to, and I still, a year later, don't care. I don't care about the character. I don't even remember her name. And her relationships, what's going on with the archive and the people she's working under there, what's up with the spirits, and how is her family going to find out, or are they not going to find out? I didn't care about any of it. Next, least favorite book. The Light of the Fireflies by Paul Penn. This was a book I got, an ebook I got on my Kindle for free via Amazon last year, 2018. I mean, this was a book translated, so it was something about international authors. There was some sort of Kindle deal where they gave you, I think, 6 or 7 books from international authors. This one was translated from Spanish. It's apparently a very popular book in Spain by Paul Penn. I didn't know what to go in expecting from this book, but I didn't like it. I don't, I don't, I guess it was kind of, thanks to watching books and Lala's videos, I know, I guess how to say this now. This book was kind of this, it was it's a contemporary suspense, I think, about a family living underground. The main point of view comes from the youngest son, who can't remember ever having seen sunlight except for a small crack high in the wall. And the he wants to explore more and to know why they're down there, but his parents, his siblings, and his grandmother won't tell them. And we learn as he learns what the hell is going on. Um, so I didn't pick this book, but I do like thrillers and suspense. So I think Kayla would call this a domestic thriller. I don't think that's for me. I'll try a couple more, but I was just like, this didn't go anywhere where I thought it did. The We have like two timelines going on. It was interesting, but I didn't like it. The way it went, I did not like. Um, there was no justice. I didn't like any of the family's choices, and it made me really pissed off. um, and I'm like grinning, but apparently this is what I do when I'm mad too. So, no, did not like. This is actually my absolute least favorite book of the entire year. But I'm giving you them in basically the order that I read them, or that I picked them up, I should say. So let's just get rid of that and talk about the last, this least favorite book of 2019. That is Our Year of Maybe by Rachel Lynn Solomon. This was a book that was the group read for Team Water in Mythathon, which I just enjoyed otherwise. I had decided to be on Team Water, and this was the book that TJ Reads the Stars, who was the host, or the leader of Team Water, and this was a YA coming of age kind of contemporary. There's romance in it, but it's not the main focus. It was interesting. I'm not 100% happy with the ending. I didn't like one of the main characters too much, or at least her choices. We're following two best friends who have grown up together, and one of them has not a disease, but some sort of deficiency in his body where he's basically been living in the hospital most of his life. Now that he is 18, he is eligible to get a transplant, but he's low on the transplant list. His best friend, who loves him, turns out to be a perfect match, and so she gives him one of her kidneys. I hope I'm saying the right body part, but yeah. And the story goes from there. I just didn't like how the level of miscommunication was realistic, I think, and both characters were kind of realistic. I think she was less so than he was, and she just put all of her hopes and dreams and ideals about how the future was going to be, how her life was going to be, and wrapped them around him. And didn't even tell him. She just expected him to be a certain way, and it wasn't even that far outside of his character. It was just, and then she was so devastated by him not being that way. A lot of her choices and her thought processes I did not like. I did not identify with. I never would have, even when I was a teenager. That was not me. And no shade to anyone who is like that or was like that. It's just I didn't like what she did a lot of the times, and I was really upset by it. One thing that was never clarified by the author in this story. So she gives him the kidney, and it's a surgery on both ends for both people. So there are possibilities that things go wrong, and we were given lots of hints and shown things that indicated she might be having a problem. Several times throughout the book, to the point where towards the end, when he finds out, he's like, we need to bring you to the hospital. And they do that, and then there's no conclusion. What happened at the hospital? What's wrong with her? Is it because she gave up one of her kidneys, or because of surgery, or she got an infection? What? We don't know. We kind of got an, she's okay. And that's it. Nothing else. No details. And I'm like, we went from this surgery, transplant, organ donation thing being a huge part of the story to nothing. Or very little. Yeah, she's okay. I didn't like that at all. So these were my least favorite books of 2019. I will be back in the next video to talk about my most disappointing reads, which are not my least favorite. They're just the most disappointing for 2019. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe if the next bunch of videos sound like something you would like to see more of. Comment if you've read any of these books. What do you think? I definitely want to talk about them some more, but I don't want to go on and on and on and on and on. And if you want to see more videos about reading on my channel, check out the Magical Librarian playlist. With that said, I will see you guys in the next video.